Lance White Eagle, and joining me as always are
Hunter White Eagle.
Chrissy Holtz.
Lisa White Eagle.
Shane White.
And this week we're going to be talking about one of our investigations, one we did at an establishment called Randy's Up the River, which has been a staple of Allegany, New York and Cattaraugus County for over 150 years. It started its history as a stagecoach stop and then transitioned into a tavern, an inn, and bar, and has been pretty much that
Ever since.
yeah, for over 100 years. So yeah, Shane, you want to get us started on how we got into Randy's?
Well, it was mentioned to me by a historian, local historian, Nancy Fiersdorf, that there's some paranormal activity and some stories from that area. So we called him up, said, hey, got some of the history, really great history about the place. Allegheny is in, he said Cattaraugus County. We're in New York. It's right on the river, and it's the same building there for, like you said, 150 years. It's not been rebuilt. It's not really been added on to.
Which is a long time for this area.
Yeah, it's been there forever. And it's a successful restaurant and bar now. So we called him up. We had a meeting and discussed some of the history, which we have and will have online for you shortly. And we went from there. We got some witness interviews.
And even, I would assume, we don't have documentation of it, but because the way it's at a river bend, it's a kind of a easy on and off shoot. Like that area has probably been being used forever.
Yeah,
Since people have been on here, because the Allegheny was a main thoroughfare even before colonization for trade routes amongst the Iroquois and then the Algonquin.
Trade and travel routes. Yep.
Yeah, you can get from, well, if you got on the Allegheny and Randy's up the river, eventually you could get to the Mississippi.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very main waterway, so that area has been occupied for as long as there's been people in this part
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, probably centuries.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I must say, that pulled pork sandwich, that was good.
The food, yeah, we met with Randy, who's the owner of Randy's Up the River, and he's owned it since
Randy and Dan.
1980s.
Yeah.
And met with him. We had a pretty good lunch, a big lunch.
It's
Some
a good sized
portion,
portion.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had a cheeseburger that was a half pound.
Yeah.
I had a pulled pork sandwich that I was probably about a half pound myself. And
And
I
they
had nothing because I was not invited.
and Miss Little Picky had
And I had the nachos and
Christy
they
was
were really,
working,
really good.
yeah.
and Randy's is also known locally. It's one of the few places still in our area for live entertainment.
Yeah.
There's not really much around here that accommodates bands anymore. And they have a stage there, and they have a bunch of bands that come in and perform.
Right. And they're open every day, of the year. They're always open.
Always, well, actually, let's talk about that. We won't use any specific names, but if Chrissy, if you want to touch on, you had a friend who performed there.
We had mutual friends, and he worked there as well. He would perform there, and he had gotten into an accident and passed away. This was, I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago, something like that. And I know that people there it was one group that went through there that actually had heard his name come through on
An
an EVP, but they didn't know about his passing.
And that's the only day
That's
since
that was the only day that they
1980 something
closed.
Randy's has ever been closed.
It was
for his funeral.
Yep.
He was a good friend, very close to the family, worked for them, and actually his accident was in the river itself, so there's another kind of connection to the place. Was the only time in the last 30 years that the place was closed.
Yeah, they're open Christmas, New Year's.
I remember it being a big deal that it was closed that day.
Yeah, like made local news that it was
Yeah.
closing down.
But yeah, we met up with him at lunch, and he was telling us a bunch of the stories and history of, certain things that people witnessed there. Like, the one that said they saw a guy in a flannel jacket and, pants that would walk him through the door, and then,
It's a woman's entrance, which it used to be,
yeah,
in the old days, they'd have a woman's entrance that was for the proper ladies. The door is closed off now
Yeah.
and not used anymore, but this guy in the flannel shirt is always seen coming through that
Yeah.
door.
There's also the alcohol. What
Yeah.
type of alcohol was
It-
it? It's a specific brand and
of
type.
something that
But-
whatever this was didn't like it.
Yeah, whenever it's on a certain shelf, it would get knocked down.
It
So
was
they stopped
The third
putting
shelf,
it up.
right? Like it was always on the third shelf, I think it was.
No, anytime it was put on the top shelf, they
That's
got
what I-
knocked
yeah.
down,
that's what
so
I-
they started
So
keeping
they
it
kept
on
it
the
under the
lower.
counter.
I say the third shelf just because that's what I remember seeing when we were up there was the top shelf.
Not only did Randy tell us that, we also have Jamie, who also worked there for a number of years, and told us that. One of the other waitresses there, and a couple of the customers while we were there, told us
Yeah.
about seeing that also.
Yeah.
It was something that
And it-
several people saw.
It was
Yeah.
only this one particular brand of what was expensive booze, because
Yeah.
Randy said like he got sick of like these, bottles that he was paying a good amount of money for being shattered on
Right.
the floor. So he installed rubber mats behind the bar to cushion it, and then still had the bottle. They come in the morning and the bottle would be broken on the mats, even though
I thought they weren't broken, but they were just.
no, they were broken.
Oh.
Even though if you put the bottle there and they tested it and just knocked it off, it would not break when it hit the mat. Something was
somehow they were still shattered.
Forcibly.
Did it also make it over the bar?
Yeah.
Oh, the one,
Sometimes, sometimes it could completely clear the bar, which was a good 8 feet or so.
Yeah, so from where the bar actually ended, it's a good distance.
It's a good distance.
To make it
Right,
over
so it's
that.
not just falling off, it's projectiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And only that one particular type that Randy didn't disclose to us, I think, because he didn't want us to try it and bust a 100 bottle of
$100
booze.
bottle.
Yeah. Randy was also very, like, as far as like businesses go, I'd say he was the most like easygoing, because
Laid back, fun guy.
he was like, yeah, you guys come in, it's no problem. Like, we had no supervision there, and,
Yeah.
like, he was very trusting. Like, he wasn't concerned with, oh, don't get into this. He was like, yep, here's the building, good luck, leave whenever you want.
That's
The
only-
cleaning lady comes in at 6 a.m.
Yeah, we were kind of more known to be trusting people anyways. He's not just gonna let anybody go in there and do that.
Yeah.
Let's just put that out there.
Well,
so,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
the people watching.
But no, I
don't
thought it
know.
was really cool that he was like,
Yeah, he's a really nice
yeah,
guy.
like, here's the keys, have at it.
Yeah,
Right.
Basically, yeah.
He did tell us too that some time ago, he was cleaning the grease traps in the morning, and something said his name in his ear, and he could feel the breath on the hair of his neck. And it's scary. From what we understand from some of the other employees there, since that time, he didn't go back into the bar by himself. He always made sure that there was someone else there with him.
He was awesome. There's other people that heard their names being called, or was
Yeah.
it Randy? They heard Randy's
No,
name.
their
name.
names.
It was their name, right? Okay.
We
yeah.
I talked to, and I already got permission. Jamie Tuttle is one of our members on our Facebook page, and she worked there a number of years. I think while she was going to college, and at one point she was checking out a customer. Her and another employee were there, and her name got growled to her, in a negative way. Both the women looked at each other. The customer, I guess, looked at them, and they were quite shocked and spooked by it at the time. They have a number of stories like that over there, from TVs going on and off, voices, lots of voices, footsteps, things like that happening there.
And the two of the waitresses that we talked to had kind of interesting, like the one we talked to when we ate there, the blonde girl, and they haven't given us permission, so we won't use any of their names if we could remember them. But I thought it was interesting. We asked her, have you had any experience? She goes, no, I don't want to talk about it at all. I don't believe in that stuff. It doesn't happen, but I won't talk about it. And I was like, that feels like something happened.
Right, so,
If
and
you're
she
like,
did say, I don't want to be scared, so I don't talk about anything.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't believe anything.
And the other bartender who was working when we came in to do the investigation, who showed us around before she left,
Yeah.
she was also like, I don't have any stories per se, but I know there's something here. And she is not like closed by herself. Even when we were there, she was closing. She had her friend there waiting for her
waiting for it.
until like she was closed, and then they left together.
She did say that she heard some things got moved. I know one of the things too that one of the people mentioned was the sprayer that they use for like seltzer or whatever. I don't know. Popped up straight out of the holder one time, and that one that we talked to that night said something about something on that counter on the inside face of the back room, but I don't remember what it was. Something moved or
I
something.
remember they said something about the basement stairs. I don't know if that is something completely different or not, but she said something about there was something about the light switch that would always happen. Maybe it was the light turning on and off. I don't remember. But there was
Oh
something,
yeah, I think she said like if something would block the light, like
Yeah.
a person
Oh,
standing
yeah,
there,
that's
but there's
yeah.
nobody
Right.
down there.
yeah.
Like something coming up and out, in and out of the basement,
Yeah.
blocking that light off that's in that basement entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be.
People have also seen, and there's the way it's situated. There's no businesses to the left or right of it. It's by itself, and they've seen a person walking in front of the windows like they're coming from the parking lot, walk by the windows going towards the front door, but then they never come in and never
Yeah.
pass the other windows.
And they
And
don't pass the other windows,
multiple bartenders, waitresses, and patrons have all seen it. It's the same guy.
The guy in plaid?
No,
so-
a
No,
different
that's
one.
a separate one.
The guy in plaid actually comes in.
Excuse me.
And the guy in plaid, though, he goes to where I think Randy was saying he thinks the old stairway to go upstairs to the rooms
The
used
one
to be.
that was by the front of the building
This-
originally.
No, he
The one that came into
the one who'd come in to the building in the plaid
Oh.
shirt. There used to be a stairwell in front of that door
Yeah.
to go
They
up.
closed
That's
to-
right in the middle.
Yeah,
That's right.
and they closed it off, and they would see him come in and go to where that stairwell
Which
used
is
to
now a wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just disappeared. But
be. Which made us think that a lot of it was like residual over, the
right. Somebody comes to doing a regular
Yeah.
routine thing that they would do, the routine, and at first, though, they went looking for the guy, thinking he was in the bar and lost him. Even
Well,
though he
yeah.
was there,
Yeah.
and realized that it wasn't a real person.
Yeah, and a few of them, like we heard stories that like a new bartender would start, and they would tell them, "Oh, be prepared for a ghost to come through," and they'd see this guy come in and would actually talk to the guy. Wouldn't respond, but they'd be like, "Oh, have a seat. I'll get you in a second." And of course, the place is empty.
So, as I say, we did an investigation there, and so we just jump right into that part, kind of get going.
Yep.
When we were setting up the equipment, or maybe it was right after we finished, Chrissy, I was actually, and this may be a coincidence, but right across the bar, we were in the backside where I think it was, that's where the band plays behind the counter.
No, the
Where we
band
had
place
it set
where
up
we
at?
ate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We ate
So-
on the stage.
We were setting up in the room behind the counter, the room beside the pool room. And Chrissy says, "Oh, I hear someone walking over there." And then right as that happened, that stereo system popped on.
Oh,
That's why we were like, well, maybe we need to go over there and check it out, Because, like I said, it could just be coincidence that popped on right when she heard footsteps, or something walking over to it, and kicking it on.
I did hear footsteps. though.
Yeah, and I was,
And to the point where she was thinking Lance was walking over.
Yeah,
She
it
started
sounded like
looking
Lance's
well,
boots.
let's keep in mind, these floors are really old wooden,
Mhm.
Hardwood,
old
yeah.
hardwood floors, so,
And no
big old
insulation
heavy
underneath
cowboy
them.
boots are,
The noise really.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
And I will say, okay, so our most exciting thing was the jukebox turned on.
Yeah.
It is an electronic jukebox, and then it came on a few more times, and talking to people, we discovered that that model does sometimes kick on. But what was weird is the first time you heard footsteps, it played the entirety of,
What song was it?
it was like a,
Oh, wasn't it
Song.
MGK or something?
Yeah,
No.
it was. Yeah, no, it wasn't
I thought-
MGK song.
Because I made fun
I
of
thought that
it.
was later. I thought the first one was like a Southern rock blues 80s
I'm
song.
not sure. Was it Sweet Home Alabama or something like
I
that?
think it was something along those lines.
It
It played
could- either way.
after.
Later.
Yeah,
But the
yeah,
first
it played
time,
the whole
it
song.
played the entire song.
like literally from start to finish.
But it
And you
sounded
heard
like somebody
footsteps walk
walking
through
to the jukebox,
Yeah,
and then
that's
all of
right,
a sudden the music just came.
Within, I mean, not was right away, but within, you know what, like probably 5-10 seconds. But by the time we walked over there, right when we got to that side, is when it kicked on.
Yeah.
So enough time for, say, a person to walk over there,
So-
tap something.
Mhm.
But keep
Now-
in mind, you got to pay to use this thing.
Yeah. Now, the other times that we heard it turn on and try to, which we talked to some people, and it's something that model does, is after it's been out of use, it'll kick on to try to get people's attention to come and put a song in. But it didn't play a full song.
Mhm.
No.
Any time but that first time when you heard something walk up to it, which I had kind of forgot about
Yeah,
when we were
and
talking about before.
And when it would play those songs, it wasn't like it started from the beginning and played 30 seconds. It started in like some random section in the middle.
Yeah,
all
all
the rest of
like,
them.
play like a
Like
30
a 30-second
clip.
snippet from the middle
Yeah.
of the song, and then
This
you know.
one actually went through and just played the entirety of the
Yeah.
song.
So, which makes me think that that might have actually been something that she heard walking
Yeah.
over there,
Yeah.
probably turning it on.
And she was convinced, she really thought Lance was walking over and he was downstairs or
Well,
something.
because she was ready, she goes, Lance, where are you right now? And we're looking over there, we didn't see him, and, you know,
Yeah.
it's just, it was odd. But,
And Shane, you saw something move,
Well, one,
correct?
you know, after I, we'll talk about Lisa's rod session, and her and Chrissy did see something too, but with me, I was listening to Lisa, I was filming her, she was doing a rod session, dowsing rods where she speaks to spirits or whatever. I'm sitting here with a camera on her, and we have a camera across the dining room facing that direction, and to the right, and I saw a weird light up and over there in that area, and flicker, and then move a little bit and disappear. That was pretty much the only thing I think I saw. I heard a couple things, you know, and we had some EVPs, but I
let's,
know.
go ahead, finish what you were saying.
I'll let the girls.
I was just gonna say, remember we were talking about earlier, some of these places, people get a lot of activity, and other people
Yeah, I was
don't.
gonna
I wanted
go
to
to that
mention
towards
that
the end,
before we
yeah.
get it, everyone's like, oh, well, they're not really getting, you know, but, well, okay, if we could go back to that later, I just
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
make sure we didn't forget about it. Go ahead, Lisa.
One of the things that I had saw, we were still setting up, and you had just put, what did you put up? I think you just had set up the SLS camera on the other side of the room. And I think there was a camera in the corner on the stage, but I was standing there,
GoPro was on the other one yet?
and where the women's bathroom door is, I could see out of the corner of my eye, because I was looking over that way for whatever reason, this white misty form type of thing, and, you know, yay big, and it just kind of glided through the room, and
Like
then
it came out of the door, the bathroom maybe?
it's when I first saw it. It was on by the door. And it just kind, like I said, it just kind of glided through, not all the way to the other side of the room. And I watched it, and I was just like, did anybody else see that? And when I talked, and then just poof, it was gone.
Didn't Randy, when we were eating, right, telling us the story, didn't he say that people would see a girl coming out of the bathroom? But it was actual,
I
like
do
a.
feel like,
We
did
set
say
up that
something about-
sensor.
yeah,
by
we
there.
did, because
Yeah.
Randy
Because of
did say
that.
something about
Yeah.
that. I didn't know you saw something, I misheard about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did tell us there was,
Yeah.
I think it was actually while Lisa was in the
Yeah,
bathroom.
he did
Probably.
see it. He said people have reported seeing
Yeah.
a woman coming out.
I think it
Yeah.
was, I think you had went to the bathroom and that triggered his memory.
Yeah.
He was like,
Oh,
oh yeah,
wait.
people have said that
Yeah.
they've seen something, like somebody or something coming out of the lady.
Yeah,
Right.
that would make sense of what you saw,
Interesting.
so.
And did you saw something too?
Besides the footsteps, I saw like a white kind of like hazy thing.
Oh, so similar to Lisa's and Shane.
Kinda similar to that too, yeah.
Well, mine wasn't a mist. It was a light, like somebody turned a light on right beside you, close to the camera.
flashlight just.
It
Oh.
was, it was an oblong thing, about 8 inches long like this, and then it had, these ladies, and 2 bright balls
Warning 18.
to the left
Warning
bottom
18 plus.
of the,
That's key.
that's staying in.
But it was
It was not
purposely
a piece of
avoiding the
equipment.
camera?
Huh?
Behind the camera?
It was in front and towards my coming
But like
direction.
out of the,
Right.
But
the
it wanted
lens
you to
for-
notice it. If it was behind the camera, then it wouldn't.
It wasn't behind the camera. It was the camera's here. It was below the camera and this way. over
Yeah.
here.
So
But
enough to where it's
out of
not
frame.
in range,
Out of
but
frame of the camera.
still enough to get your attention for
Yeah,
whatever
and
it
it
was.
did. It got my attention because it was extremely dark. And all of a sudden,
Was that by the black camera? Is that by the black camera? And what camera was that by? Did you already say that?
yeah, I
The-
said in the far corner,
Yeah,
the
the-
dining room on the stage.
The black IR, because I was
Yeah.
making sure what side.
Now that could be too, because we did review a lot of footage and we didn't get much of anything on the footage other than what we had experienced. But if what Shane saw was purposely avoiding the camera,
Yeah.
and Chrissy heard something walk over to the jukebox, we immediately put a camera there and heard nothing else there the whole night.
Yep.
We put a camera towards the women's room, which I assume you guys probably put there after she saw that, because we had one of the cameras kind of
I had
like
the
a phone or
GoPro
something like that,
angled there.
and then didn't see.
Nothing.
And that, we could
So
relate
it could have
that,
been actually that it was aware.
Well, here's the thing. So right where, so
Which
like I
would
said,
not be residual.
we got the say the woman's bathroom's here, the black IR where
Mhm.
Dad saw his thing, and the GoPro's here. I was with you and Lisa, I think, when we were doing the EVP session, or was it when we were setting up equipment that I saw something running along that back wall?
Yeah, you saw something that was darker or something.
Yeah,
I saw
it was like it literally like, because you know we had the light up in the booth. It was just enough light to where you could see what's in that room.
Yeah.
And at the corner of my eye, well, not even, I was like looking up, starting to look up, and as I could see it, something's running along that back wall. And then when I got to the women's restroom, I didn't even see it. It was just gone, because that's where the shadow landed or whatever.
Maybe whatever Lisa was going back to the bathroom.
I was saying, that's 4 people that all saw something different, in that same area.
though, yeah.
you know.
So yeah, it could
And then-
be like a lot of the stories sound residual, but that sounds like something there that is actually familiar with it enough to know, like, I'm gonna stay away.
We gotta
Well,
think,
if
you got a lot of,
bottle breaking,
Yeah.
that seems like something that's intentional, not residual.
Right.
It's a
True.
certain
Yeah,
type
bottle
of
break is
alcohol.
definitely accidental.
Yeah.
Exactly, and not to
That's
mention-
active.
there's thousands of college kids there probably almost every weekend, every weekend, and they all are out taking pictures and videos with their friends and whatever
That's
else. So
true.
whatever's there is definitely spectated and watched and probably has figured out, you know.
Well, and that's something we came across in,
Well, they also have cameras there too.
yeah,
So-
in another investigation too, is like a lot of, you know, everybody kind of assumes a ghost is gonna be a, you know, 1800s, ye old, but, you know, that's not always
Ye old.
the case, like and we'll do a whole episode on that, but at Genesee Falls, we had a ghost who, I think on the spirit box and the rods, said they were born in the 1980s.
Mm.
And they were completely familiar and interacting with the equipment we had and the cameras and things because,
And just the things they
Yeah.
said
Right.
were
The
And-
mannerisms.
And we had a spirit there that died
modern.
in 2016.
yeah,
Also,
like
yeah,
not
to be
all these
aware.
places are haunted by a Civil War era or before
Oh,
ghosts.
Native American. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So like it very well could be something, a spirit that's more recently deceased
Mhm.
that's well aware of all this technology, or like you said, has learned
Yeah.
from all the, you know.
Watching.
Well, one of the spirits that's supposedly there is one of the owners they called Ma. Everybody just called her Ma. She was a very aggressive businesswoman and ran that place because she loved it, you know.
Mhm.
And a lot of people think that she's still there. Maybe that's something that they're also seeing. She would definitely know how to avoid things, but at the same time let you know she's there if
Yeah.
she wants to.
That's true. And we did, now we couldn't determine if it was a radio station per se, but you want to talk about your spirit box in the basement?
Was that the one that kept saying sins?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept
What?
hearing sins.
I don't
like,
think I
over
heard
and
this.
over again. It was super weird. It was just like sins. And like repeatedly. And
Sin.
yeah, and I was just like,
Yeah.
what? So, and I remember I had my
I-
rosary on me. So
Yeah.
I remember I was like, hold on a second, and I like handed it to Lance for a second. That's probably not smart. I'm like, here, take my protection one.
You're like, something's calling me a sinner. She's like, here,
so-
take
you
this
know,
away.
I wanted to see if it like would change anything,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, and I just kept hearing sins, like just in like it was almost like it was like a chant or
Yeah.
something. But then after I got you on the spirit box, you were hearing the same thing, correct? Didn't you hear? You heard it at least once.
Once, but not repeatedly.
But I was
Once,
hearing
and
it
that was
repeatedly. It was kind of weird since sins, but in it wasn't like, you know, like when it was coming, it cycles through the radio stations. It wasn't like it was like every 30 seconds or every whatever. It was just,
Yeah.
it would be random intervals that
Right,
I'd hear
right.
this, and it
Well,
was
that's-
just kind of.
Some of them.
Let me also just mention too, we have two of the exact same spirit boxes, and most of the time, probably 75% of the time, we're using both of them at the same time.
That's true. Yeah.
And if someone hears something coming through the radio, whatever channels it might pick up, the other person should also be
Should be
hearing
getting
the same one.
channels. Yeah.
But if they're both getting two completely different things, one person hears something, another one doesn't, it's possible that there could be something there you're
Yeah.
picking up.
I mean, we kind of dismissed it. We not dismissed it. We were like, that's weird, but it showed no intelligence.
Mhm.
Right.
Like we asked what, and it just the same sin.
It
Sin.
was
And,
weird
you know,
though,
it's-
because what would be
It's a
playing
bar, it's a
at-
drinking establishment, who knows what's happened.
Right.
It's a drinking establishment that was still a drinking establishment during Prohibition.
Not to mention,
Also,
it's had
You know?
probably several thousand, 100,000 people go through there. You never know what
Oh, in
kind of
100
person.
years.
It could have been,
Well, I mean, we had a lot of the teetotalers. The word is escaping me right now.
I know what you're getting.
Yeah. The ones who they tried to ban alcohol in the country,
okay.
and they would go, and it was mostly like women, like upper, like society women who decided like, okay, drinking is no good, and they'd actually do like protests outside
Maybe
of
it was
places,
something like that.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
to like get these bars to shut down and
It could be,
stop
and
selling booze.
Yeah.
you have a very Catholic, Franciscan church just down the road that was there even.
Oh, just
Literally not
blocks.
even
Just as long.
Yeah, half a
That's
mile.
true.
If that.
Right, well, a lot of
Quarter
those
mile.
students would visit,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it has something to do with somebody
It could be.
protesting from
Not to
the
mention there's a
school,
cemetery right
or
over
from
there,
the,
too.
the church.
I mean, and maybe because I had the rosary on me, that's why it was.
Maybe that's why.
Like,
Maybe it drew
saying
you
that.
on
Like,
to
Yeah.
like you
yeah.
said, I put them on. I do think I might have heard it once, if I remember correctly, but that was it.
And
I didn't
after
get
you
nothing.
heard it, that's when we kind of dismissed it, like, but,
Yeah.
yeah, if you kind of think about it.
Yeah, it
could've
was
been something.
it was odd because it showed no intelligence. It answered no questions. We kind of put it down as odd, but maybe not.
It could have been residual.
It's
Yeah.
one of those
Like,
things. It's like
residual EVP.
up in the air whether
Yeah,
it
but
could.
like Chrissy said, what radio station is just going to be repeating sins?
And it was on
What-
different
what- yeah,
stations.
what
like,
AM
it was
station?
different
Yeah.
It's
cycles,
not like a
like,
regular. Not like we're
points in
using.
a cycle.
And I don't
FM
think that should
stations
be
here.
residual if it's making an effort over that device.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, if you're hearing it and you hear it at the same time over and over at a certain time or place, maybe, but
Maybe.
that uses a
The
device.
way it sounded too was just weird. It was like
Yeah.
this chanting, like sins, and I was just like what was that? Like, what?
Yeah, maybe they were encouraging it.
Yeah.
You know, like
Just
like,
do it.
They're like drink,
Just
drink, drink,
do
drink.
it.
Yeah. Sin, sin. Like,
No, I'm good.
Okay, boozy goes.
Boozy.
So we actually did have more activity there now that we're thinking
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
no.
And considering we've had some really active places before and after, I think it wasn't exactly what we were hoping, but it's like this. It's a place that has people in it every day of the year. The spirits there
Let's just.
are
Yeah.
probably, they're like, just, give me a break for a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
we were there after closing. The spirits are like, you know what, like, we're not
Yeah.
going to play with you guys. We got to deal with people all day, every day.
Yeah. Well, that's not to mention we've been spoiled with the places that we've got into
Well,
activity
yeah.
wise. So that when we go to a place that still has activity but not to our standard of what we used to get,
That's
then
true.
it feels a little, you know,
And this was a smaller place compared to what a lot of the places we
And
do.
it was our shortest investigation.
Right, because we did have to go after the bar closed, like we said, they don't close for nothing. So we went in at 2:30 at night.
yeah,
And
did
didn't
our-
start our
and-
investigation
yeah.
until after 3.
yeah.
Yeah, and ended, you know, at
7:30.
6:30-ish, I think it was.
We got,
After
we
6.
left like 7:30, so yeah.
Yeah.
6:30 probably.
Yeah. But usually our investigations are
A little earlier in the night.
earlier, well, yeah, but we're
And
actually
longer.
investigating for 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
This was,
We were
2
so
to
late,
3.
we did, yeah, 4 tops.
4 hours.
yeah.
But when we were going through the footage though, from Randy's, didn't one of the cameras there, wasn't there, like, movement? That
The
back
black camera.
on the stage,
Yeah, the black IR camera.
That's
That's right,
right.
it moved.
it was
It-
moving,
It moved like
We need to
somebody,
go
like
back to that
significantly moving.
like somebody bumped into the tripod.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we were trying to figure
No,
out.
no,
if
it wasn't even
somebody-
that. It was like someone
Like
literally
it-
took
like
the
it
camera and,
moved, tilted it.
yeah, tilted it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was like a bump.
And keep in mind, our camera, like the one we're recording on now, is on a tripod, and they're tightened down
Yeah.
so that they
It's
don't
a-
just bounce around.
It's
so,
a handy cam style camera.
Yeah.
And it's tightened onto a tripod. It's not easily moved.
no. So,
No, and the movement was, it was deliberate looking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
but it's
Yeah,
weird
and
because
it
it's like,
happened, like, the first time, and then what, 10, 20, 30 seconds
Yeah, it
maybe,
happened
and then
again.
it did it again.
but the thing is, I just noticed on that, whatever it was didn't shake the camera at all. It's like it slowly grabbed onto it to where it didn't shake it. and
Yeah,
it just went,
and it just-
and then did the same thing
Yeah.
and slowly let off so it didn't shake. If
Yeah.
you think about it, when we watched it, they didn't actually shake. It just angled down.
Well, I'm anxious when we actually get to add it through there to see if that movement was about the same time that I sat across the room that I saw a light. If, you know, if maybe
Could
it
be.
won't.
If it's in that corner, it could
We'll
be
have to
something.
check that out and see.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I don't recall. No, because I think it moved when you two were setting up the SLS camera.
Because we are almost right in front of it.
Yeah.
Oh, so it'd been
When we were
It would've
first
been
setting it up to
barely,
angle
yeah.
it down the hallway towards the Phasm by the jukebox, we were on that little, cause the table we set it on was here, but we were on the table beside it trying to get the angle first. It was when we were in
I
front
think
of
it was
there.
when you guys were doing that.
Yeah.
So whatever was right behind you. You're setting up the camera facing
And it's
this way,
like,
and it's
check
literally
this out.
sitting behind
Yeah.
you
Sitting
going,
behind you, yeah.
nice camera.
We
you
didn't
got."
even notice it.
Yeah.
Look at that. No.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there behind it.
Yeah. But I do also think on that same one, didn't we also hear footsteps on the stage by the camera?
Yeah, I don't know if it was on the stage or just in front of it, but we heard.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
I assume on the stage,
And
just
you
because
could-
the way it sounded.
And just for the people
4
out
inches up
there.
or something like that.
Yeah,
but-
it wasn't one of us. The camera that you can see,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
literally
we
in
were
the
all
corner. There's the doorway here and here. It's in both views, and there's nobody
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's not like like a theater stage. It's a band stage.
Yeah,
it's about a 4 or 5 inch
yeah.
lift off of the ground of just plank wood. But yeah, I do
Yeah.
think on that video we did have, it sounded just like 2, like not enough for a full person to walk through, but just
Yeah.
like 2 like footsteps right
Yeah.
in the stage area.
Yeah, and we did hear some voices coming from the fireplace area for a little bit. We weren't sure if that was coming from outside of the building or not.
No, but we debunked that,
Oh, did we?
because remember, that's why I messaged down to you guys, I was yelling, I was like,
Oh, that's right, you guys
Oh,
were in the
we
basement.
were
You guys
echoing
were-
up the
on the
fireplace
floor.
from the basement.
Right.
Yeah.
on a
I don't
spirit
remember
box.
there being that fireplace.
Now, in the basement with the K2 meter, I did get a few hits, but nothing, consistent. Back by the rear door that goes out of the building. But other than that, I didn't get a lot in the basement. I don't know about you guys. But
No.
Except for the
Sins,
sins thing, no.
Started that late, so the third time.
Yeah. And did you have something else?
I got a couple really odd EVP spikes, and then oh wait, that's the one where it lasted for like
EMF
30 minutes. Well, that's
Yeah.
EVP.
Yeah, EMF. Sorry.
But you were reading my mind.
Yeah,
'cause
we
after
got
that,
really
I'm gonna
good
ask her about
EMF.
EVPs. I was just thinking, oh, EVPs.
Yeah.
And you were like, I got EVPs.
But I was on. I was on TikTok Live, and you spiking up and then and I don't want people to say, "Oh, it's your phone." I had this thing across the room on the pool table, and I'm sitting there watching this thing spike up to 99, 100, down to 40, down to whatever. And it was like that for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it went.
It was
forever.
not
Something was
stop.
definitely showing itself.
And then
for you.
I left to tell you guys, so we left to do something. And I came back trying to see if I can get that activity again. Nothing at all. And it was in the exact same spot that it was when I was recording. So it was odd.
Yeah, and I had a couple readings earlier in there, and then it went away completely right after. It was odd.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you call it, the TV room, I guess. Seemed to have a lot more.
Yeah, the layout of the bar
Activity.
is a little odd. There's like you walk in, and it's like your typical small town bar. You walk in, you're facing the bar, there's the bar stools.
Back and to
Food.
the left.
Yeah,
so
and
it's
then
supposed to, right?
You
yeah.
go around.
You go around, and there's a dining area, but then on the back side, it's just another bar.
Yeah.
Like, it's open, you can see each other, but it's kind of weird that it's kind of a
U-shape.
Another
U-shaped
bar.
or
bar,
backwards.
but not even a U because you can't get to the middle.
And that
Just bar
room
and
has
bar.
a television in it, and then there's
Yeah.
another room to the left, or to the right,
Oh,
I
with
guess,
the
if
pool
you're looking
table.
at the
Yeah,
bar.
like a
Well,
pool
back in
table.
the
That
day,
has a pool table.
maybe it was set for smoking and non-smoking. You got the people that play pool, who knows?
Maybe.
Whatever.
Or maybe, because it's so long,
We
maybe the front initially, maybe the back was the bar,
Well, here's the
and the
thing.
front was the stagecoach area.
I think
And
before
then
that,
they opened it up and
that
built the
kitchen
bar.
didn't used to be there. So that was probably part of the bar at some point.
Right,
And they
yeah,
took
yeah.
out of it and made it into a kitchen. So that's two big halves on either side that makes a lot more room. That kitchen wasn't there.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, so overall, actually, it was more interesting than
we thought.
get my questions. Yeah, now that
Yeah.
we're talking about it. But you said you got some EVPs. Did you get anything that you could understand?
Yeah, we got some stuff. I mean, they were the one particular your friend. I think he came through.
Oh, really?
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
EVP, yeah, we got, I think his name once or twice, and couldn't
Oh.
understand, I don't think I can remember what he was saying. And Lisa, when she was using her rods, also got him live, which we were expecting more older, like you were talking about earlier, spirit kind of thing, but,
Yeah, not one that's our age.
Perhaps
Yeah.
that's the younger one that knew the camera stuff.
That would also make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because he was Chrissy and I's age.
Yeah.
we're
I
not
didn't know you got
saying
Yeah, I
who
didn't
that
know
person
you.
was, because it's an emotional topic for the owners and their family, and probably Chrissy, but, there was some stuff he was wanting to say, and we're gonna share with the family
Definitely,
later.
male voice. And clearly, his name,
Yeah, he gave his
came
name
up.
multiple times.
young sounding.
Did not know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
That was in the basement?
And no, upstairs by the fireplace.
Yeah.
A lot of yes/no answers they gave. You can hear them whispering, but like if we weren't talking about him or asking him questions, we were just talking whatever. And you're listening to the EVPs. It's like he's like, "Hey, did you forget about me?" type of thing. Because
Yeah,
he
he
would
was
say,
Like,
"Hey."
here we trying to
Or
get
the
Trying to
few
get their
times.
attention again, yeah.
No.
If we stop, went to another subject, we seem to try to get back together.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I didn't hear
that's-
about
that's
it.
Yeah,
really cool.
and unfortunately, that's the only piece we actually even reviewed at this point. We do have more stuff to review and video. And maybe we'll follow up if there's anything really, great comes out of that. We're gonna do, hopefully soon, we'll be doing a clipped version of the evidence, and we can get through all that. It's massive amounts of stuff to review. And we also, before we post that, we're gonna probably talk to the owners again about some of the more personal stuff.
Yeah, make sure.
Yeah, make sure
that
it's okay to be out there.
So we're actually getting
question time
pretty short on time, so let's just do the one, because we're already
at the 40
minutes, yeah. Because I think this one would be fun, and it is, do you have a dream location you'd like to investigate? So we can go, you can
Start
take,
over there
you can
first.
take the team anywhere in the world,
Oh, in the world.
In the world.
In the world?
One, like I said, mine would be the St. Louis, like cathedral / cemetery in New Orleans, like where Marie Laveau is buried. You've got,
Yeah, they're probably the best, you know, the most famous,
oh yeah, yeah,
voodoo
yeah, and
priestess.
it's said supposedly if you stand anywhere in the cemetery, right, just in the 1 foot area around you, you are in contact with at least 100 bodies. Because of the water level, they're all stacked.
Yeah.
You know, so
And it's a very crowded.
that place, or when I was in New Orleans, I went, I'll do an abbreviated version of it. I went into this coffee shop with a friend of mine just to get, you know, grab some lunch or whatever, and we went in, and I was like, this place feels weird, like, let's sit on the patio. Like, I just was like, so sat on the patio, had lunch, whatever. The food was phenomenal, but I was like, it's weird, you know, big old building in the French Quarter. I went home a couple weeks later, it's down there a couple weeks, and went home and saw on Discovery Channel a special on that building, because it was talking about this couple, they were a doctor and his wife, who murdered hundreds of slaves in there.
Wow.
And
Not just murdered,
tortured
tortured,
and murdered.
dismembered.
They found
It's funny when
pieces of them hanging in the attic, pieces of the slaves, and then when they remodeled it, they had parts of them buried in the walls and floors.
all throughout the building.
And the couple disappeared.
It's funny, I knew about that place,
Yeah,
and when you told me about this story, I had no idea that was the same place. I was
No.
thinking, oh, that sounds
Yeah.
cool. And then later, when you made that connection, I knew about this because
so
I had
yeah, I'm
actually-
watching this special, and I'm like, this story sounds ridiculous. And it was like, and today it's a trendy coffee shop, and showed up, and I was like, oh wait, no wonder. But that place would be really cool to
Yeah,
like
that sounds fun.
ghost hunt.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
So those would be New Orleans, anywhere in New Orleans would be mine.
Yeah, yeah. I think
So-
all of us would
Yeah.
love that. Matter of fact, we might take it.
Right.
Because now you got me all into it.
So I actually took a trip to Italy with some of the veterans from SBU, and we went to the Vatican.
I was just going to
Oh,
say
Vatican.
they want to
would
ghost
be-
hunt at the
yeah.
Vatican.
That'd be great.
That would be.
Yeah.
That would. You know that place is going to have outrageous amounts of everything, of every
And
kind of
just the,
paranormal you can
It's
think
just
of.
funny, right before you
The
said that,
artifacts there
that
alone
went through my head, and I was
would
like,
probably have so much.
yeah.
I mean,
activity. Then you got the
Like I said, I was there. You walk in there and you're like, you get a weird feeling, but the place is so beautiful, your mind is instantly taken off of that. You're just looking at everything. So like,
Well, you've had more people probably than almost anywhere else in the world other than Mecca coming there for religious purposes.
Yep.
Like, that's a lot
or
of concentrated
whether they want to
energy.
be, you know, healed and end up passing away around there.
Yeah, that's
So-
true too, yeah.
You know, there's thousands, if not millions.
And I mean,
like
and,
that.
and you're talking Rome. You're
Yeah.
talking one of the first cities ever in the world.
Yeah.
Like, the history is even
Well, Vatican
before.
City. But
Yeah, yeah, but even before Christianity, it, you know, took
Yeah.
like major root there. It was already an ancient place.
Yeah.
yeah, it was.
That's a good. I wouldn't even think about that because
I-
no way.
Yeah, I was like, there was this
new pope is cool, but he ain't that cool. Like, can we come hug? No, no.
Hey, please let us
Just
down
please.
underneath the building,
Yeah.
please. Just look at a few of those things.
Yeah, just in the St. Peter's crypt area, you know, just a couple minutes.
Yeah, right.
No, that's a good
Man, I
spot.
would
though.
love
That's
to
a
do
good
that.
job.
Yeah. Just the manuscript.
That's
just
Chrissy Stu.
Oh,
Well, I was going to say that. I also think like Gettysburg we were talking about, or maybe even like Alcatraz would be super
Alcatraz,
cool
yeah,
to
really
go
fun.
to.
Alcatraz would be cool because
Yeah.
even not a lot of people know native before Alcatraz that was a native settlement, that island, Alcatraz Island,
Really?
for thousands of years.
Wow.
matter of fact, they've been fighting to try to get it back.
Yeah, because
They should.
the contract for Alcatraz when they built it, because the island was a reservation.
Yeah.
And then they said, we're going to borrow this land for this prison. And in the contract for the prison, it says, if this ever is you know, defunct. If the Alcatraz ever closed,
Yeah.
it will be turned back over to the nation. And it wasn't. And
No.
there's a whole lot of stuff that happened in the 70s.
Yeah,
There's
I like
a
the way you
lot.
said that. Borrowed.
Yeah.
Let's not get
Hey,
political.
we're gonna do this, you're gonna live with it.
Yeah.
Alright, Lisa, what's your,
Lisa, by the way,
You gonna guess?
no, I'm just going to say, not actually very well known because it was covered up, but supposedly the only person to ever escape Alcatraz is one of her relatives.
Woo woo.
well, check that out, guys. Not to, she's got a lot of celebrities on her
Yeah.
side of the family. What do you got? Jonathan, what's his name?
Stan?
Stan Jonathan. You got Gary Farmer. What's this? The relative from Alcatraz, and I'm sure there's more.
Yeah.
I remember my mom telling us that way back in wrestling day, we had a huge cousin that was like championship wrestler. Like,
See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And she has a number of chiefs in her family too, going way back.
Sorry to distract. I just thought I was cool.
We
'cause I
got a
remember
little celebrity.
when I was a kid, Aunt Lorraine telling me about that. Oh yeah, like our like great cousin or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
yeah.
So what was your haunted place, Lise?
I think, well, backstory, the reason why I think when we went to Fort Lee for you, one of the hotels that we were in, I had a little ghostly experience there. Me and Hope were in there, long story short, towel kept flying off of the counter. So I'm just like, what the heck? How did that?
And a cup, plastic cup kept flying.
I don't remember cup, I remember towel. So I go over, pick up the towel, put it back on like the counter sink thing, go back over with Hope, whoop, and go flying again. So I'm just like, okay,
You son of a
alright. So I go back, pick it up, whatever. So then I'm sitting there on the edge of the bed and we're watching like TV or something. You guys went to go continental breakfast or whatever. And
I would have.
Go eat, that's
I
not
could
right.
see
Yeah.
a Civil War soldier standing right there. He got the red coat on, the gray pants, or you know whatever, the hat. I could see like the little buckles, the little buttons and everything.
Some
Yeah.
pretty damn. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Vivid.
yeah. So I thought, oh, that was pretty cool. And I look over to him, like I stared at him for who knows a few seconds, and then he just poof, just disappeared.
Huh.
So I
Just
think
enough to
Gettysburg,
let you know,
I
realize
think
he acknowledged
Gettysburg would
it.
be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be.
I actually saw ghosts by accident. Well, I guess they're almost accident. In Gettysburg, when I was a kid, we stopped at a couple battlefields when we were on our way to Ocala, a native festival, and I saw a couple soldiers, or a few soldiers out there. It looked like they were talking about something, and as we drove by, I asked my parents, you know, what are those soldiers doing? And they said, oh, there is no soldiers there.
Yeah.
But to me, they looked like, I thought they were regular people. They looked really solid.
So is that your place you'd like to investigate?
No.
So then what is it?
Well,
Kind of what this whole
Yeah,
section's
he's like
about.
there's a bunch of places I have on my wish list to do, but if I had a good month, I would love to tour the castles.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to go in those castles. They have thousands of years of history,
Uh-huh.
and a lot of horrible stuff happened in those places.
Yeah.
Disease, who knows what, and it's
That'd be really
Well, I can't remember the name, but the one right near the border of Scotland, the one that William Wallace took.
Oh yeah.
That'd be a cool one to do.
Oh yeah. Well, I
I
can't
can't
remember now.
remember.
It almost
But
popped in
it's,
there.
it's the only time England ever has been attacked on their own soil and lost. The William Wallace and
Huh.
his guys went and took a castle on like English soil, and that'd be a cool one to do.
Yeah.
That'd be super cool.
They have a lot of buildings just that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. And then if I had a secondary, it would be the old Asian, temples.
Oh, some of the
Oh, man, that'd be-
monasteries and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be cool. No pun intended.
Before we wrap up, I just want to mention that we just opened up our store for our merchandise.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're looking to get a Spirit Hunter's hat or shirt or hoodie or anything like that,
So
check
what
out
goes
our
in the back?
Facebook page. And you
Designed
can,
by yours truly, Lisa.
and we'll be using the money for the shirts for like travel and other equipment expenses and things like that, so it'll,
Right, it all goes back into allowing us to go to bigger, better places with better equipment.
Put out better content for you folks.
That stuff is on there right now, but we are going to be putting coffee mugs and magnets and stickers and a whole bunch of other stuff on there soon.
Yeah, right now we
Hopefully
have,
next week or two.
what, like t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, and hats, I think are the
Right,
items we have on there now.
More clothing apparel, also bags, things like that too.
Nice, and I'll put the link for that in the description, and you can find links to all of our social media platforms at spirithunters.group, and, which will link you to our Facebook.
Twitter, Instagram, website, Snapchat,
TikTok.
you name
Yeah.
it, you know.
Blog.
Yeah, Lisa's blog is
Ghostly Chronicles.
Okay, I think no, she's going to say grosslychronicles.com, and yeah, your cat is hitting our light.
Or his tail is like snagging the line.
on purpose.
On purpose too, yeah, he wants the attention.
Her chronicle is also linked to Linktree, which is also, you know, something you
Our
get to our
website,
web,
yeah.
Linktree.
Which is, yeah, so Spirit Hunters Incorporated.
Yep, Spirit Hunters Inc. on Facebook is our main page. We post, you know, most of our updates on there. Links to everything else is on there as well.
So
Yeah.
make sure you guys, it really helps if you like and subscribe and share the video.
Comment too.
And comment, leave us your questions, and we'll answer them in
Yeah, we
future
love the
podcasts.
questions, so make sure you send them out to us, we'll answer them.
And, yeah, I think that's it for this week, you guys. So thanks for watching.
Tuning in.
And what's your tagline, Lisa?
Happy hunting.
There
Happy
we go.
hunting.
Happy hunting.